they opened up a little small track in Danville called the Dixie Speedway, and they wanted to get some black drivers, and they thought they didn't know who to approach, so they went to the police department to find out what black guys had speeding records, things like that. So they told them they want somebody to drive a race car to see me. So that's how I started racing.
As Matt told us earlier, trying to become the first African-American driver since Willie T. Ribbs and join Randy Bethea and the great Wendell Scott.
He did he drove the car exactly what the car wanted him to do. He got out early. It looked like a little tight, but he kept in the throttle and he got a good lap, and wow, way to go, Bill.
There you go.
Woo-hoo.
That man, Tony Schumacher, wins. He is the champion for an 8th time. But Antron Brown, if Tony Schumacher loses, becomes the first African-American to win an NHRA title. 376, Antron Brown is the Top Fuel champion.
But Rajah Caruth, he's never led the field to green on a start or a restart, Michael. What a moment for him right now.
I bet that heart's starting to beat a little bit quicker right now.
30th truck start, came up from the ARCA Menard Series.
Whatever you need coming to the line. Really proud
Just
of you.
praying
Way
for
to
it.
execute all night.
There it is. Rajah Caruth wins it at Las Vegas. First career win, gets it done.
His final time through 3 and 4. He's going to do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
Freddie. What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
Championship record is equals. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix and is a 7-time champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. What a way to win your 7th world title.
Oh,
We ready?
unfortunately.
Yeah, let's do it.
Keep that in.
I'm tired and I feel terrible, man. Like, what else do you want from me?
Yeah, we've well, what was an episode of Victory Lane Vibes, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, we're all of us, except I think for Bonte, we're down with the suds or some illness or some grossness or some ick. This is what happens when there's global warming. You
I
don't
got
get
my
snowstorms.
backbone.
It kills all the germs. But here we are. It's me, it's Art, it's Carl, it's Bonte tonight. Post Vegas. But first, apparently Art has a game he wants us to play. So, calendar vibes.
Are we starting off the show with it? I wasn't ready
We're
for that.
starting the show
Oh,
with calendar vibes.
all right, Carl. I need you to edit in some whimsical music right here, please. I appreciate that. So, I stole this idea from the Distractable podcast. I listen to them a lot when I'm not listening to racing, and so if we are inspired by ideas from other shows, we're going to give them credit here. So the
Man.
object of the game is I have 6 races in front of me. I have the dates and the locations.
Mhm.
So what I'm asking from each of you is to give me the driver that you feel matches the vibes of that race winner. So don't cheat. You don't have to look it up. And we're not looking for accuracy. So you don't have to guess the right driver, but what driver feels like a good winner? Like if you had to imagine yourself watching this race, who do you feel like would be the winner? So who matches the vibes for that race? Does that make sense? So we got 6 races. The best one will get a point, and whoever gets the most points, I'll shout you out on my Twitter, which means absolutely nothing, but I will do it. So there's no real prizes. All right. So first race, I've got June 12th, 1994 at Pocono. So you turn on your TV. It's early June 94. What driver do you feel matches the vibes for that race?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I was 100% going to say Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin. All right. Bonte, what about you? You got one?
Mark Martin to go.
It's been taken. You gotta give me somebody else.
94, right?
Yeah,
Ernie
94.
Yeah, that's
Ooh, I
cold.
like that.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
cold.
that.
Yes, damn, that's good. I like
I'm gonna give it. I'm giving it to Bonte on that.
Ernie
That's
Irvin, the
really
GOAT.
good.
Damn,
The actual race winner was Rusty Wallace, but that Ernie Irvin just fits. It just fits the mood just right.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
that
give you
was-
that
that was
point,
good.
Bonte.
That's good.
All right, so let me write this down. Make sure we keep this
Yeah,
very
that was-
That's a good
meticulously
one, Coach.
noted.
That's a good one.
All right, so the next one, October 10th, 2004, Kansas.
I mean, I know who it was.
Let's see.
Well, that's not the point, though. The point is, who does it feel like? Who do
I
you think fits
okay,
that vibe?
If I go off,
Casey Kane.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's a good one.
So before we go any further, I'll give you an example. So like for me, if I think of like early 2000s Talladega, right? I think of Dale Jr. If I think of like late 90s Sonoma, regardless of the year, I think of Jeff Gordon, right? Like even if they didn't necessarily win every race, their picture comes to my mind when I think of this era and this particular track. So again, like it don't have to be the winner because that takes all the fun out of it, right?
It's
You
just
can just
that's
Google
such
it
a
or just
specific.
remember it. So it's
That's
just
such
who
a
do you
specific
feel?
outlier because of like who won that day. I can't get out of my mind. But if I had to go with a early 2000s, late in the year, mile and a half winner, the vibe for that, I would almost 100% have to say Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart, okay. Bonte, what you got?
Okay.
We're going October 10th, 2004, Kansas.
2004 Kansas. Okay. Was it Jimmy Johnson?
You say Jimmy Johnson? I like the Jimmy Johnson answer, but I have to go Tony Stewart. Okay. I agree with Carl. That's exactly what I would have thought. That would have been my guess. The actual race winner was, as Carl probably knows, Joe Nemechek.
Hey, can I get one real quick?
Because I was so mad that Ricky Rudd didn't get that. It was a great battle for the end, though. But I was so pissed that Ricky didn't get that.
All right, Bonte, you say you got one. All right, we can mix it up.
This
Go
is
ahead.
from a Talladega race from 2005 in October. One of the craziest races during that.
What's crazy about that is the vibe also matches the winner.
Yep.
I would. It's kind of cheating, but I would say like Yates had really good like power at the plate tracks in the early 2000s, so I would say Dale Jarrett, but that I know that's kind of cheating. So to take a step back, Michael Waltrip.
That's what I was gonna say. That's
the guy got flipped over in the first half. First laps.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, if I can't go Michael, I would go Dale Jr.
No.
Around that time,
it's not. Who
I mean,
won
this is
it.
the vibe. It's not the actual
he was
winner.
Close, though. He was close. No. Art, you valid.
Go ahead.
What? Did you just change the rules for Art's game?
Yeah. Right? You see, this
like
is a hostile takeover.
Jared, what you got?
Go ahead, Jared. Give him one.
You know I'm old. I gotta think now. Bobby Labonte.
Okay. Let me get Scott Riggs.
Say Scott Riggs. All right. Anytime I think of Scott Riggs, I just think of the 05
well,
500.
That was it. That same race that he went tumbling like through the tri-oval or whatever, and like hit Jeff Burton while he was like still flipping. Was that 05 or 04?
That's the race.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, that's the race 05. Yeah, because him and Waltrip flipped during that race.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a couple more. So these might be a little less obvious for the winner. So we got September 26, 1999 at Dover.
Give me that date again.
We have September 26, 1999, Dover. So we got the fall Dover race. Who feels late 99 fall Dover
Jeff
to
Gordon, easy.
Okay. Derek Bonte.
I'm still riding for the 88. 88 for life.
Oh yeah, Jerry Room, bro.
Dale.
That's the GOAT himself.
Dale Jarrett.
Let me get I'm gonna say Rusty Wallace.
Ooh, that's really good. That's actually
I
insane.
like Rusty Wallace a lot.
He's underrated. A lot of people.
That was a good answer.
He's underrated, man.
You know what, Bond? I'm gonna give you that one. I'm gonna give you that one. That's a good one. That feels like the spirit. I can see a Rusty Wallace at that track at that time. All right, so this is gonna be a real throwback. This might. I don't know if this is gonna really help or really hurt some of us.
Datas.
So we got April 2nd, 1989, Darlington. Looking at Jared's face.
The fuck is your problem?
It's not Darlington.
Do you want to?
All right.
Do you want to know the? Now, let me ask, because we're changing the rules on the fly. Do you want to know who the race winner was? With that,
I need to see who the roster was in '89.
If it's '89,
Christ.
if it's '89, yeah, almost. You're 2 years. You're 2 years off on Harry Gant. Yeah,
Jeff Bodine.
That's
golf.
Yeah,
GEOFF.
yeah, that's actually really solid. I was gonna say, Jeff Bodine. Really, you can't top that. Golly. I mean, the only other obvious one I could think of would have been Senior. Darlington was pretty good there. Yeah, I mean, I guess I had to say Senior if he goes with Jeff Bodine.
I'm going to say Richard Petty.
Actually, no. Let me run that back. Darrell Waltrip. Let me run that back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like Darrell Waltrip a lot. But
because he didn't start his deal for like another 2 years. So
was he at HMS during that time, or you can't remember?
I want to say.
I think that's before.
No,
is it?
Was it?
I think it was still Junior Johnson's deal. I don't think the 17 was till like. No. I think the Junior Johnson deal, the HMS deal was like 88 or something. So yeah, I mean it would have been in the Junior Johnson Hendrick era. I can't get the years right, but it would have been a dominant era for him. So I'd say Darrell Waltrip.
I like all of these. You guys are getting better at this. You're getting better, but I'm still gonna go with Jared's. As soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh, that's money."
Damn.
Harry Gant was the winner that day. So I don't know who said that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, some of these, like, you don't get extra points for guessing the driver right, because, like, to me, that in my mind, they don't really match the vibe.
I always think of Harry
race.
Gant, and I think of like the very early '90s that he went on that run, but I guess it may have been the later '80s. Also, Waltrip didn't start his own deal until '91, so '89 he would have been in Hendrick. But
okay,
okay. All right, this will probably be a layup for some of y'all, but to know who the winner is, I should say. So we got July 16th, 2017, Loudon.
Oh.
So who do you feel, can you see holding a lobster? Who can you see on that flat ass track?
Kyle got that race. Wait. Which one? Because remember, it was 2 Loudon races during that time.
This was the July race. So summertime, lobster.
That's
lobster
Kyle
roll.
right there. Kyle got that in the bag.
KB.
Right. Caramel scheme. God, that scheme was goated.
It was 18.
18 was no. Who was 18?
18 was the Caramel scheme.
No. Yeah. Was it?
Yes. That's the year he won like 8 races again. And yeah.
Oh, it got to be somebody else then. Was it Harvick? I really don't remember.
You're getting off track. Reel it back in. I need the vibes,
yeah,
not the main stream.
I'll say KFB, bro.
All right. Good guess. Or good answer, I should
Well,
say.
if it was 2016, I would
Carl
say
Jarrett.
Matt Kenseth. But if it's 2017, oh, I don't know who won that race, but I feel like, okay, here's how I'm basing my decision. If it's the Thursday before that Cup race, the summer 2017 New Hampshire Cup race, and you ask me who's winning, I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr. So that's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm basing my answer on, even though I think he had a stinker that weekend. But that's what I'm basing my answer on.
I got it wrong, but I say one.
That's a good guess. All right, Jarrett.
James Hamlin.
Ooh. So this is really close. If I had to pick 3, I would have probably picked the 3 that you named as like my top 3. But when I think of Loudon, out of those 3, I also think of James Hamlin.
that's
so I
fair.
got to give Jarrett the point.
Because it's funny because actually Danny won the July race in 2017. Kyle won Kyle won the playoff race later on that year.
He did. All right, so we're going into the last round. The last round, we'll say, of regulation. We're at Bonte 2, Jarrett 2, Carl 1. So if Carl wins this, we're gonna have to go to a sudden death. But all right, we have May 28th, 1995, Charlotte.
What's the year?
Ooh.
95?
95. May 28th, 1995.
Okay.
We'll go last on that.
Let me get Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'll stick with Hendrick. I'll go with Taylor Bunny.
I'm gonna go a little out of left field because I'm trying to think what years the '94 car was. I think we had 2 more years. I feel like a Memorial Day weekend race at Charlotte in the late '80s, early '90s. Bill Elliott would have been a really good call for that. Because there was a period. I want to say there was one Coke 600 from like '89 to '93 that his car ran like 597 miles out of the 600. Like it somehow ran 3 miles shorter than everybody else because of how well it ran the bottom. That's from his autobiography. So I would almost give it to him, even though I know that he probably didn't win that race, but still.
The fact that you had the whole podcast grunting in agreement means you gotta get the point. Like that's an automatic point. I give you that.
Sheesh.
That's really good. Yeah. The race winner that day, Bobby Labonte.
Oh, really? So Gordon didn't get that.
No. All right, so that means I did not draw this up intentionally, but we have a 3-way tie. I should have picked 7. I only picked 6. So we're gonna go sudden death. I picked one more race just now, randomly off of ESPN. We're gonna stick with May. We're gonna go May 15th, 1999, Richmond.
Me and Jared gonna say the same guy.
This isn't fair because Jared lives. It doesn't live at Richmond.
That's just too damn bad.
It's fine. It's been the goose has been cooked. Let's go. May 15th, 1999, Richmond.
The spring Richmond race.
Okay.
Who embodies spring Richmond?
Was it Tony Stewart
in 1999?
First win.
You're gonna go Tony Stewart.
Is
that your? I can't give hints until after we make.
Yeah.
After everyone goes.
Make your pick.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was asking. All right,
They still had Pontiacs then?
They still had Pontiacs. They had a Pontiac. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. I'm looking at the results, though.
I don't Kurt Busch is screaming to me for some reason.
Was he a Cup Series?
Brian Lancer?
That's what I'm trying to look and
Bonte, you hurting yourself?
Yeah,
he was a little baby on the streets.
He replaced Chad Little the end of 99. It may have been 2000.
Since I can tell Jared's looking it up, I'll tell you, Kurt was not in this race. It's still Chad Little at this point. I'm looking right at it.
So I will go the 2 car.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid.
All right, Rusty. That's really good.
99 at, this is Richmond?
Yes.
Man, I feel like, okay, I don't know how many races he won that year, but I know Jarrett was a champion in 99, so I really want to say Dale Jarrett, with Mark Martin being my second pick, but I can't get a second pick, but I would say it's Dale Jarrett.
Now, is that going off your gut, or have you looked up the results
of the race? I just knew that Jarrett won the title in 99 because he almost went back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He almost did. He should have, honestly, truthfully.
Based off of that, and because the rules are arbitrary, I'm gonna give it to Carl. Because Dale Jarrett did win that race. And
you don't say.
He feels like a May
don't
99
a lot
Richmond
about
guy
99,
to me.
but I feel like that was one of those titles where they didn't win a lot of races, but they were up front a lot. Yeah.
No, he had
most
top 5s.
That's what I thought.
The most top,
the whole
most laps led. Like if he wasn't winning the race, he
was so consistent during that time.
I feel like that was a year like they knocked off a few wins early, and then they were just consistent the rest of the year. But I don't. It's so long ago I can't really remember. But yeah, I knew he was a champion in 99 though.
That's the GOAT.
Yep. So Carl, you are the inaugural winner of Calendar Vibes. Congratulations.
Hey, what's going on, Vibe listeners? Carl here to talk to you for a minute about our good partners over at Home Field Apparel. As you guys know, the 2024 NASCAR season is already underway. We've had 3 great races, all of which have been won by Chevrolet or Hendrick Motorsports. Isn't that interesting? We'll save that note for later. But hey, just like with any year, the start of a new season can only mean one thing. It's time to start looking at some new merchandise for the year. And that's where our good friends at Home Field Apparel come into play. Now, if you don't know who they are, maybe you haven't heard of them, they're a storied collegiate apparel company based out of Indianapolis. So, they're making racing merch. They're based in the heart of racing in North America. They make merchandise for a whopping 180 schools with some fantastic vintage designs. I saw some old Arkansas Razorback stuff on there I'm going to get. But I got to tell you, what's got me really excited is a vintage racing collection they're releasing this year. Now, remember how I said it was important to note that Hendrick has won 2 of the first 3 races this year? Well, that's because just like they started off the NASCAR season with winning, Home Field is starting off their vintage racing collection with Hendrick Motorsports. And let me tell you something, it's live on the website right now. It was up for pre-order, but you can go ahead and order some of this now. But it's got a little something for everybody with gear that pays homages to multiple eras of Hendrick Motorsports dominance in NASCAR, featuring the likes of Jeff Gordon, the Rainbow Warrior, Jimmy Johnson, old 7-time, even Tim Rich from Mr. Days of Thunder himself. And let me tell you something, if you haven't looked at these designs yet, you can go over to their website, homefieldapparel.com, and look at the entire collection. But these designs really highlight what Home Field does best. These aren't just shirt designs, recreations of a shirt they pulled off of Google, right? No, this is something they've worked closely and meticulously with Hendrick Motorsports, scouring over the archives of footage and photos to accurately recreate these wonderful vintage looks and really encapsulate some of NASCAR's golden years spanning from the late 80s to the early 2000s. These shirts are sure to turn some head. They're really quality made. It's not something that you're just going to be able to wear a few times and have to put up. And they're going to turn some heads and have some folks asking like, hey, did you find that at a yard sale somewhere? And so imagine their shock when you can tell people that these shirts were made in 2024, and they can also get one just like it online at homefieldapparel.com. They've got a slick and really easy to use website that not only allows you to view the racing collection, but all of their collections as well. And they even have a mobile app. So head on over to their website. That's homefieldapparel.com. They also have a mobile app. Take a look at that collection, see what you like. And hey, your friends at Victory Lane Vibes, we got your back. You can use our code VLV24 for 15% off your first order. And hey, when you get it, take a picture. Tag us on Twitter at VL Vibes Podcast. Let's see what you're looking like. It's time to let our racing apparel not just say that we're a fan, but shout it. That's code VLV24 for 15% off at checkout at homefieldapparel.com.
If anyone listening, if you've been playing along, tweet us your guesses or your picks. We'd love to hear them. Tell us who matched that. Maybe we'll do this again soon.
We should do this on the Twitter all the time.
It's a good way to get some interactions up. You know
all right, so what else we got going on? Is that the show?
Oh, I wish. I wish, but
we got business to talk about.
We got some stuff to handle right quick. So we're starting with Cup this week, because I felt like it. Okay, I'm in charge of the notes. So the 5-car wins in the desert. A trash bag prevented Willie B from seeing how he could get up there and make it shake with a decent Hewlett-Packard scheme this week. Noah Gragson gets his second top 10 of the year with a sneaky 6th place finish. What were you all's thoughts on the Cup race?
I'll go first. This race felt like Infinity War when Thanos came down to Wakanda and he already had 5 of those stones.
Yes.
And it was like, hey, bro, you ain't got nothing for him. Like, there's nothing you can really do. Can't give him no problems. We've seen it at Larson at Vegas and at these 1.5 miles. There's certain weeks where that team is just super, super dialed in. And, a couple guys had runs. There was a little bit of slicing and dicing early on, but couple folks for whatever reason fell off. Willie B got cursed by a trash bag and a beer can, and Reddick had a pit road mistake. And so at the end of the day, like, it was inevitable. He just had to get that dub. And the racing as a whole was exciting at times. I think there was a lot of action throughout the field, but it is kind of tough when it does feel a little bit like everyone's fighting for second place. It just felt like unless they blew a tire or got spun out, there was no way they were going to win. So that's racing. Some weeks it's like that. If every week was like this, I would hate it. But considering we don't normally get that many runaway wins or dominant cars like we had this week, I'd say it was an average race. I would like it to be a little bit better considering it was the first air quotes normal race, right? That's the terminology I saw a lot online this past week. But, they did their thing. They got the job done. Not a surprise. And, it doesn't feel like the first 3 winners are wasted playoff spots like we've seen the last couple of years where it seems like somebody gets a fluke win at the 500 or whatever. These are all guys that I expected to be in the hunt for the playoffs. So it was a race. It was going to be a letdown after Atlanta, right? I think that just wasn't possible not to be a letdown after the finish. So I wasn't too disappointed by that, but I would have loved to see a bit more competition, giving Larson a bit more of a run for his money.
Yeah, it's just crazy how we've come on here the last couple of weeks and praised Ford for the new body and praised Toyota for the new body, and we're so excited, we can't wait to see it. And Chevrolet just shows up and just smacks that ass. That's absolutely ridiculous. Bonte, Carl, thoughts, opinions?
Yeah, I'll go first on that. like I said, I listened to most of the Cup race. I was at work. I don't know what I was doing, but I was working. And I went back and I watched some highlights to just make sure it match up. I mean, it was some of the better 1.5 mile racing I've seen with this car. I still have a lot of reservations on it, so it's hard to get over that. It is funny though that for as much as people say that, like, William Byron kind of really falls into a lot of his wins, he's had just as many kind of fall out of his way too. Because it really felt like for a little bit there that he was probably going to be the car to beat. I knew going into Vegas that it was going to be a Hendrick car. It was going to be the car to beat. I don't have much to say about it. Just overall, it was good racing. Unfortunately, like, my favorites had a bad day. But you can't let that spoil the whole thing overall. I will say that just the ending was really frustrating to watch because, again, I hate to think a broken record, but I feel like a situation where if you had more horsepower, you could overcome a guy taking your line and putting you in dirty air. Over like how tight these cars get in traffic and things like that. Like, that was kind of frustrating to watch because I just feel like, if we were running 750, 800, that, maybe Tyler would have had a better chance at catching Kyle. But, glad that HendrickCars.com won this weekend, just not in that particular race. But, I mean, for what it is, it was great to watch when I got the chance to actually watch what I'd listened to. So that's what I got to say about it.
It was just one of them races. It was just one of them races. Yeah, it was all right. Let me finish real quick.
Take your time.
The battle between Reddick and Larson was phenomenal. I ain't gonna lie. Kind of wish Reddick got that in the bag, but it is what it is. But other than that, trash back prevented my boy Willie B to get another win, but lame trash bag. But other than that, it's just one of them days. That's it.
Yeah, so I don't like to give credit to the 5 driver, but in his post-race interview, he did shout out the driver for diversity program that he came from, listeners, and shouting out Raj and shouting out Bubba and shouting out
Daniel Suarez,
Ryan Vargas, and Daniel Suarez and Brad Perez and all of our guys. So it just shows that, diversity in this sport matters, investments in diversity and inclusion matters, and your favorites, came through that program, and now they're winning races and contending for championships as well. So just keep that in mind. Moving to the day prior, Saturday, the Xfinity race, the JGR Toyotas act like that they didn't want to share the lead with anyone. Chandler Smith sweeps stage 1, stage 2, has a pit road blunder, and Mr. John Hunter Nemechek, I'm going to post a picture on Twitter with the caption "Victory Lane Vibes" and ignore my DM saying to come on the show, come to the vibes, come to Victory Lane Vibes. He won Saturday. I don't know what happened to Sheldon Creed. He was there and then he wasn't. But Art's boy had an average moment for himself and found the wall quite early. How you feel about Sam Mayer there, Art?
Hey man, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug, and he squashed the wall like he was the bug. I mean, hey, it happens. It's racing. No, it's fine. To Carl's previous point, right? Like, just because my driver had a bad day doesn't sour the whole show. I enjoyed the Chandler Smith, the John Hunter battle. I like seeing Rallyhurst get up there. It seems like he's continuing to grow as a driver. I think we touched on it late last season, his development, him winning at Vegas in the fall. So that was really interesting. I just felt like John Hunter really seemed like a man possessed once Chandler Smith got out of the way, and it cycled around, and it was similar to the Cup race in that the winner was inevitable unless there was, some kind of caution and craziness, but it was in a different setting, right? In the Cup race, you had Reddick trying to burst the air bubble, and he just couldn't and was getting blocked. Whereas here it was, a 4-second lead when they took the checkered. So a pretty dominant ending to the race. I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if those two could have mixed it up the whole way home, but it was an average Xfinity race. I will say that. I think my expectations for Xfinity were a bit too high, maybe after last season. I don't know why, but I just feel like so far 3 races in, they have not met the excitement level that I personally have wanted for them. Again, that could just be my hopes and dreams. It felt like, I don't know, there was a lot of time where I was just kind of watching laps click off, and it felt like I was just waiting for the clock to run out. And you never want to feel that way watching a race if you're a consumer. But, John Hunter seems like he's back off to his winning ways after last season being so dominant. So, to quote Bonte, it was all right.
Yeah, I need to back up a little bit because I glazed over the Cup deal and didn't say this. I'm still not sure where I fit in on the spectrum as far as my feelings toward Noah Gragson, but shout out for them for keeping their heads down and finishing 6th. I don't really buy into the necessity that it was legacy that was the issue. I feel like both parties played their role in last year's results. I feel like you can't look at where legacy was Sunday and where Stewart-Haas Racing was Sunday to make comparisons. I've talked about depth of an organization before. But yeah, I mean, that's cool that they got 6th. Overall, I'm not a Noah Gragson fan at all. I'm a Tony Stewart fan, and I want that operation to succeed and to make inroads and to get back to where they need to be. So, like I said, that was cool to see. But to talk about the Xfinity race, it just felt like that is race I did get to watch, and it just felt like you were just kind of waiting on something to happen. I just kind of felt like, the last stage of the race, there was going to be, a caution that never came. I did see a video on Twitter. Who were in the Alpha Prime cars this weekend? It was Ellis had a sick save, man. Shout out Ryan Ellis and that save with friends of the show that J. Caleb bred that all work over at APR. Good showing for them too. I think they finished 18th and 25th. So that was cool. Yeah, I mean, it was an Xfinity race. I mean, it's only been 3 races in, and not every race can be a barn burner. John Hunter is, on really good form in these cars. It was to be expected. It wasn't another Austin Hill win, thankfully. So that was cool. Only thing I got to say about it is, it's been 3 races. Give Sheldon Creed a little bit of a break. I know a lot of people like wanting to write him off. Oh man, he sucks, blah, blah. It's been 3 races and you riding around. It's 3 races with a new organization, man. A lot of things are fundamentally different. I feel like he has the talent to get it done. So just be patient with my guy. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, there was some good racing at times for sure. So like I said, it sucks that I ended like it did, but that's all right. So
the JGR show. It was pretty much JGR show. Hey, I'm telling y'all that boy Hurst is going to cook this season. The man.
Really hope he gets his first career win, man.
Don't start that, bro.
So just real quick for the uninitiated. So Saturday I had the group chat in a tizzy because everybody was like, "Well, did you?" Bro he had his arms crossed. He had his arms crossed.
That's how you know you got him.
Like, whatever. Anyway, I had other people in the tizzy because I kept swearing up and down that Herbst did not have a win, and I kept saying specifically I want him to get his first career winning Phoenix Series today. And people, Bonte especially, were like, "Bro, what the are you talking about? He has one." And I'm like, "Nah, I would have remembered that. He doesn't have one at all." And finally, at the end, the bit fell through, but it was funny for about an hour.
What they say, It's not funny anymore. Try different jokes.
Nah, that was hysterical.
Every time, dog. No,
ahead,
it was
Vontae.
actually the race is actually better than the cup race. I'm gonna say that though. Just good racing, lots of passes. Besides, anyways, but yeah, I fairly enjoyed that. Like, on my boy Sammy Smith to come to get some dubs, but yeah.
So that was Xfinity. And then, we at least started off the weekend the right way. The 71 truck got the pole. 71 truck, fell back to like fifth or sixth. Let his teammate Kyle Busch, lead some laps, get the Andretti money, their TV time. Shout out to the sponsors and everything. But oh boy, when stage 3 came, and oh boy, when that green flag stop happened. Raja cooked. He didn't overcook the meal, and he won his first Truck Series race in Las Vegas. That's probably the most complete truck race I've probably watched in 3 years' time. Like they weren't driving manically. They tried, but they were making passes. They were dipping and darting. Everybody was being respectful. We actually got to see a green flag cycle play through in stage 3, which was awesome. And because of the lack of incidents, this race went by extremely fast. But HendrickCars.com got their weekend started off the right way. Raja gets a win. He's been on every show this week saying, "Stop sleeping on me. I'm putting you on notice." Really think he's coming after Corey LaJoie's Cup car next year, from what I heard on Stacking Pennies. But Raja wins. Black Excellence Weekend.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Bonte. Share your thoughts. Share your feelings.
That was probably one of the best truck races I've ever watched in a long time. And I'm not just saying because Raj the winner, but watching that race was intense. Passes, like a lot of passes, like racing was phenomenal. Wasn't too much wrecks and stuff and like that. Just complete greatness. But besides that part, your boy Raj finally got the dub. My first, and it's crazy because it's early to get my boy to get that win, man. It's phenomenal, man. I ain't gonna lie. I refuse to look at my phone while watching that whole race because I want my boy to get that win so bad. And then it was green flag pit stops. Once it was Sanchez and Majeski got the penalty. It was on now, and then he had passed Taylor Gray. It was wraps. Boy, drove that to the finish. Man, what a day, bro! I'm so happy for Raj. He got his first ever Cup Series win, the third black driver in NASCAR history to get a win in a top tier national NASCAR series. You love to see it. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess I'll go after that. Yeah, I was that home? Yeah, I was at home for that race. Raj aside, it was like a complete truck race. It was very nice to see. There weren't a lot of risks being taken. There was a lot of respect. I don't know if it's because of how these trucks race on a 1.5 mile track or whatever, but it just felt like everybody played their part. Green stops mattered, which it's been a long time since that were the case. I love that. Want more of that for sure. A lot of people, put some talent on display. Shout out to Tyler Ankrum too, because that's like a name that we haven't really talked about in a number of years. 5 years back he was over at David Gilliland's team, which is now Tricon, and I think he won a race like his rookie year, didn't he? He won like a Kentucky or something. Yeah, and everybody was like, "This is the next best thing," and then he kind of fell off. And so, I'm always an advocate of, winning as a NASCAR driver, as a racing driver in general. It takes a lot of moving parts to all mesh together, and sometimes you write guys off because those parts aren't always there when they need to be. So seeing Tyler be able to put it together at a team that I think people were kind of wrote him off for, I think that was kind of cool to see. No telling what would have happened if they would have had another 5 or 10 laps, but luckily they didn't. Raj won, put the whole thing together. And I was just as nervous watching him put it together the same way I was when I watched Bubba, win his first truck race in Martinsville. Because, not to throw it back, but Bubba was fast all day and they had that late caution. And I was like, this is it. This is how, they take this away from it, how they lose this one, Bubba pulled it off then. Raj pulled it off. So proud. It's so crazy because, like, we were talking about, a month and a half ago, we were like, does Raj even have a ride? Are we even going to see this guy? Is he going to be like working at an Amazon warehouse this year? Like, what's going on with my man, And so to see him, get that deal with Spire, apparently on Stacking Pennies with Corey, he had said he had some other offers, and it was the one that he navigated to. It worked out. I knew that, like, it was the real deal. Like, when Hendrick signed on for the year, I was like, man's has got to be locked in. So, going out on the pole, fast in practice, I mean, you can't ask for something better to come off right off Black History Month with. We try not to, like, focus too heavily on the black part of it. But, I mean, history was made. It was talked about in a lot of places. It's just so awesome to see, and he's so graceful about it, so well spoken about it. Really excited to see the rest of this year brings. Hopefully, some other opportunities in a different series, and man, it just cemented what we already knew, So it's really cool to finally get that monkey off your back. So yeah, it was definitely a huge moment for me. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it all in all. Though I was sick to my stomach the last like 7 laps, but yeah, so.
I have to echo some of the things that we've said already. I remember watching the first, 20, 30 laps and thinking, wow, they're really racy tonight. And, that's always the best feeling, right? No one's really riding around. They're really getting after it. And yeah, it was such a clean race overall. I was very pleasantly surprised. And outside of some parts of the Cup race, I want to say maybe the trucks were the best show of the weekend for me out of the top 3 series. Flag to flag, really competitive, multiple potential winners. And then, of course, Raj pulling it off was the cherry on top. I think looking back now, we're a couple days removed from it, my emotions for the race, they were kind of split into 2 halves. The first half was the days leading up to the race. So he gets the pole, that's great. And he goes out, he's running well. He was probably like a top 5 car, but he wasn't a runaway the first half of the race. And I'm sure we all have thought at some point that Raj definitely has the talent to win. I don't think that's ever was a question. The question was if he's going to be in good equipment and have the stars align for him. I think back to that Kansas race, I believe it was last season when he had a chance to win and had a mechanical issue and things just didn't work out. So the first half of leading up to the checkered flag, I'd say, I was actually surprisingly calm. And I really wasn't thinking about the potential history that was about to happen, as strange as that sounds. It wasn't until after he won and he starts doing the burnout, and then you just see everyone on Twitter start going off, that I think it really hit me, just the importance of that win and the history of that win. And, I don't want to consistently attach Raj to, Bubba or Wendell Scott, because he's his own man. He's got to forge his own path. But when you're only the 3rd person in history to do something as a black man, like, that's just such a huge feat. And it wasn't until, 20 minutes after the race was over that I really just became emotional at the feat that he had done. And, it's one of those reminders that it really isn't a case of talent, but opportunities. And he got an opportunity to be in a good ride. He had good equipment, a good pit crew. Carl mentioned how they were able to execute on pit road. Everything just came into alignment. And so I'm just so happy for him. And, I think this is just the beginning for him. He got that HMS money and he said, let me lock in real quick. And it was as perfect as you could want, right? Like that's exactly what you want to show that you belong here. And I don't think anyone ever really doubted it, but it's one thing to say it and have all the talent in the world. And we've seen so many talented drivers come and go and they never get a win in anything. So for him to get this win just kind of shows the potential that he has to get his win in his third race as on the team and have 3 top 10s, and that's to start the season like that. I mean, it's just so fantastic. I'm just so proud of the guy. And, you know, like Carl said, he's just handled it so well. He's handled it way more gracefully than I would have, because I'd have been, you know, jumping on the car. I might have been cussing some people out who might have written me off. But he handled it so well. And I'm just so excited for this win. And I'm just even more excited for what comes next for him, because we know he's not done, right? Like, this is not a one and done story with him. Like, I see him in a cup ride real soon, and I see him being a contender not long after that. I think he's just got all the talent in the world. So I'm just so thrilled for him, and I hope he gets another one real soon. You know, I'm ready to buy more Raj diecast whenever their race wins. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's crazy, just the series of events for him. Like the last few months, he gets the 17 in Phoenix, you know, for Hendrick and the Xfinity Series to end the season out there. And then, you know, he waited patiently, waited to get it, waited for the Spire deal to come together, got a 10 race deal with them, top 10 race win. And, you know, Hendrick was like, well, we're going to sign up for the whole season. And then the very next race, you win. Like there's no better return investment or better feeling. You know, these people put their name on my back and on my truck. Let me go out and show, you know, what that means to me. And he wins. And, you know, we saw a lot of this speed last year when he was with GMS, and, you know, some things happened, some things in his control, not in control. Kansas really sticks out to me, but this isn't going to be his only, you know, race win this year. I feel like he can probably certainly win Kansas with the speed that truck had on Friday night. But it just goes to show, when you continue to put faith in yourself and your talent, and you have the right people behind you supporting you, the sky's the limit. So if you're a Cup driver out there, you might want to check your rearview mirror, because Raj is coming. Believe that. In 2311 corner, it was an event this week. I think the coolest part, like, obviously we know what happened with Bubba and Bubba's struggles, and it could happen to anybody. It was just his week, I guess, to have bad luck. We have a running joke with Curse Schemes. We adding the black and gold Columbia to that, because y'all can't see me, but I'm rocking my Litos junk right now, and I feel like this Litos thing got a lot more luck in it than that Columbia one. I'm sorry, I love y'all, but
Litos, they scooted out the crosshairs real quick.
But I feel like it's just the embodiment of teamwork was Bubba trying everything he could to help Tyler catch him. Like, of course, the last 20 laps, you can't really do that, but. You know, leading up to that final green flag stop, Bubba was drafting Tyler, trying to help him get there. But ultimately, Tyler's own pit crew struggles, you know, failed. So, you know, it's the same song for 2311. The pit crew, now granted, they didn't inherit a great team like Trackhouse did, and, you know, they've been trying to build their pieces from the ground up. And I feel like they've done a decent job at, you know, recruiting guys and all that stuff, but it's just mental errors, mental mistakes when money's on the line, and they cost you wins and they cost you points. So Bubba ended up 15 laps down, 14 laps down, something crazy, and Tyler finished second to the 5.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it a million times, and there's no need to really revisit it. It just is really frustrating that when these deals happen, it seems to always kind of play a little bit more to the 23 than it does the 45. But I mean, you know, these things happen to both of them. But it's just, there's always some situation where I'm like, where they finish isn't a testament to where they were running. Granted, they made some adjustments earlier on, and it kind of screwed them up too. So it was just kind of, had they not had the pit road issue, the nuts or whatever, it probably would have had a situation where, I top 12, top 14, something like that, but just to kind of highlight though, so I took some time. I was glad Tyler said what he said. I took some time. I listened to Actions Detrimental this week. And, I think the thing that everybody who is in the 2311 camp fan wise has to take a second to realize is that, like, pit crews are an industry inside of this sport, right? Like, there are teams like Hendrick, specifically, like Hendrick and like Gibbs, that make money. And I'm talking about millions of dollars off of training, college athletes, professional athletes to become pit crew members, building these guys up and leasing them out to teams, right? Like, there is the same way they have a driver development system, they have a pit crew development pipeline as well, right? So I talked last year a lot about depth, right? And so this is a situation where no matter how much money 2311 has, they do not have the depth of a team like a Gibbs or like a Front Row or a Penske or a SHR or a Hendrick or whatever, like Trackhouse got very lucky because they inherited a pit crew program. 2311 did not. And unfortunately, it was really this was a freak accident on the part of the 23. On the 45, it wasn't. It's just something that we just have to be patient about. To speak to that a little bit, though, like there was an article that went around this week about like best sports place teams to work for, something like that. Bozzy retweeted it. He had a lot of really good talking points about it. And, I have a friend that he works 2311 and stuff like that. And I have friends that work in the garage, and they all say, like, yeah, that's the place to be. So hopefully all the work that Denny and Michael Jordan have who's the guy? Dave Rogers. Is it Dave Rogers that's over there? Or is it Ford? Anyway, it doesn't matter. All the work those guys have done in creating 2311 and whatever the new shop's name is to be Airspeed, to be the place to go is enticing enough to these athletes to be like, you know what? I'm not renewing my contract at Hendrick. I'm going to go be on the 23s crew, the 45s crew. So that's all you can hope for. You just hope things get better. And, 4 or 5, 3-4 years from now, when, like I said, that's in an organization with a championship next to their name, we can look back and be like, well, they had to suffer and they had to build to get to that point. So it sucks, but it's just part of it. And there's nothing you can say. I mean, because what are they going to do? Fire everybody and hire, 12 more Joe Blows that just came out of college that don't know what to do? You know what I mean? You just got to stick it out. So.
That's what NASCAR video games taught me in the early 2000s. If your team's not good, just fire the whole roster.
I'm replaying NASCAR Thunder right now. Yeah. Every time I get like a top 15, top 10, I get a little bit of bread. Everybody's getting fired. We're hiring a whole new crew, buddy. New money around here. But yeah.
Your severance check will be waiting for you at the door, right? No, I was gonna say also, Carl. If you refer to Airspeed as anything but Denny shows up with a lead pipe and he hits you in the knee. So please make sure you call it Airspeed.
I mean, but that may be a way for him to get his $163,000.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I hate to just echo what Carl said, but yeah, this is just really bad luck. I think the only other time this happened was 2 years ago. I want to say, Bonte, I know you know when was the last time this happened? It was on the Legacy car.
Yeah, this was
but it wasn't.
Yeah, Eric Jones car from Kansas 2 years ago. The race that Kurt Busch won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this isn't a common thing. Now, if in 2 weeks from now they do it again, then my tune will be very different. I'm gonna be real hot. I'm gonna be the one with the lead pipe outside Airspeed, waiting for these boys. But it's frustrating. But if this is the bad luck you gotta take early to hopefully balance it out, so you get some good luck late, then so be it, man. And Yeah, for Tyler, I hate it for him. I wish he could have gotten a bit closer to Larson at the end there. I don't know. I guess this is still part of the problem with the next gen, and this isn't a next gen bashing segment, but the air bubble, it just seems like it's too difficult for guys to burst unless your car is just way better than the car in front of you. So unless you were Larson or the 24 this past weekend, it didn't seem like anyone really could do that in a long run. So yeah, what could have been, right? I think he's had a couple second place finishes in the last half of last season. So it's frustrating, but there's still good runs. I thought the car would have been better than it was pre pit road issues for the 23. I think after the first stop, they put scuffs on it, and that just dropped it like an anchor. I don't know what happened there, but it was just a boat. It was awful. And then they were just fighting uphill after that. But before that pit stop, they seemed like the car had good speed, which is promising. They qualified well, which is also a positive note to take away. Like, I'm trying to look for the little nuggets, in the mud pie that like they gave us out of the weekend. But you just turn the page and look to next week and hope to do better. I mean, I knock on wood, I don't think there's any way they could be worse after what we had this past week. It's just frustrating to watch. But I had tweeted out that the crew did get the stuck wheel off, I think 2 minutes faster than the 43 team did at Kansas. So if there's anything, they did not panic and they executed it better than it's been done in the past. So they've set a new bar. So again, like these aren't the highlights you want, but it's something positive to take away is that they did everything right. It seemed like Bubba was in a good headspace, at least on the radio from what I heard. So, that's just racing. Sometimes bad luck happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been, it was kind of the way it's been the last couple of years. We talked about we were talking about before the recording, we were talking about like Kyle Larson and stuff like that, and talk about the pit crew and like just to kind of show like how integral this is and like how important it is for them to, if they're gonna build it, to do it right. Like a large percentage of like Kyle's wins, HMS's wins, are because they're able to beat guys off pit road all the time. I mean, not taking anything away from like the driver talent perspective of it, but like that is a large chunk of their success is being able to find a second here or there on pit road. And so, I mean, because I mean, like I said, if the 45 had the 5's crew, I think that race would have ended differently. So like I said, I think everybody knows how important that is, and hopefully, like I said, the way forward for that team is that they, are able to get these mistakes out of the way early preseason, focus and just be on top of it the rest of the year.
Yeah, I feel like who was it? I feel like it might have been some announcer last season that mentioned that the pit road team is kind of like your special teams in football, right? Like if they're just average, it's fine, but if they mess up, it can really ruin the game plan for you. But on the flip side, they can really make it for the day for you and cover up a lot of flaws that happen outside of their control. And this was a case of, we missed a bunch of tackles, let a long kick return. We kicked it out of bounds. We missed field goals. Like they did all of them, unfortunately, at airspeed. So I'm sure they're looking at film and hopefully they get it fixed.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
get it right, bro.
He says,
Kenny don't play. He's litigious.
It's just one of them days, man. Just one of them days, unfortunately. Hated how his car had fall off like a rock after they put them scuffs on. You can see he was trying to climb back up to the top 10 during those restarts, but yeah. But it's just one of them days, one of them weekends, and hope they look back at it and make sure we can do better as a team, do better for this weekend. For this weekend coming up. So yeah, so we ain't obviously it's the rest of the season. It's all good though.
We move on. The light's too bright. Now, now don't attack me for this, but I have to give my lights too bright to Tyler Reddick. You watch the last 10 laps. The high line is working. The high line is working. He moves to the bottom. Cal air blocks him. Game over. There's not that many laps for you to try and get it back. I feel like he did that move too soon. He wasn't close enough, I feel like, to try and like pull one over on Kyle Larson. Especially if the man led 181 total laps that day. He sort of knew what he was doing up front. You showed your cards a little too soon there, TR. So while we can sit here and we can put angst and blame and bitterness towards the pit crew, you had 27 laps to get them, and you missed the boat there, big dog. And that's just me just being really picky. But I would have liked to see Tyler not make that move so soon and see if we couldn't have just made a drag race had he been closer to Cal coming off of 4 with the momentum he was carrying running the high line in 3 and 4. So, Tyler, you get my lights too bright.
This week it was kind of tough. I feel like a lot of people who had levels of misfortune that you would usually attribute to lights too bright, it was just bad luck, right? Chris Buescher had a terrible finish, but the wheel blew up. Bubba, like we mentioned with the lug nut. The one that I'm going to give it to is Kyle Busch for the pit road penalty. Late in the race, he slid through the box and overwent the front border, and I believe it was the last pit stop of the day, I want to say. So he had to come back down, serve a penalty, and he ended up finishing 26th. And that was a car that was way better than that. I think it was easily a top 10, maybe a top 5 car on the season. And, you just kind of blew it all away for nothing on a late stop. And I think this is maybe the 3rd or 4th pit road mistake that they've made in the season already. And it's only week 3, and you're just racking them up every week. So, unfortunately, that I hate to say it, but Kyle Busch, you're my recipient of lights too bright this week.
My lights too bright this week is Daytona 500 champion William Byron. The trash bag got him, and then I said after he got that trash bag out of his car, I thought he was gonna come back and rebound him for like a top 5, maybe even for the win, but nah, that trash bag messed him up. But yeah. The trash bag.
Did you hear what happened? No, but like they got the bag off, but there was a beer can in the trash bag, and it got in the engine block.
Really?
That's why they ran like trash the rest of the day. I did not know that. Yeah, no, I think they interviewed his crew chief, and he alluded. I don't remember the exact quote, but something like, "We had a silver bullet in our radiator or our air filter or something along those lines." But yeah, that's why. Like I was expecting that car to come back and be amazing, but they were like, "Yeah, no." After that happened, they didn't catch it until after the race. Like there was no way they would have known.
I didn't even know. I thought it was just like a regular bag.
That's why.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
The car
was parched.
What's that Bush commercial? Head for the mountains.
Head for the mountains
just up the road from Vegas. No, my Lights Too Bright, it did not take place at Las Vegas. It didn't take place in the States. My Lights Too Bright took place at give me just a second. Somebody give me some hold music here. Vontae, what'd you have to eat today, bro?
I don't know.
How was your lunch today? Okay, so my Lights Too Bright took place in Oxfordshire, England, which is where the Alpine Formula One team is headquartered. Lord! You have gone through 3 different rebrands now in the hybrid era, and just a multitude of different things, all this other kind of stuff. I know this is a chicanery type beat, but I just want to say, how do you get it this wrong to the point that you've had your what is it, the The team principal has resigned. The technical staff have resigned. Like, they ain't got nobody in there but janitors, truck drivers, and race car drivers, man. That's it. You guys change the tires. That's it. That is the lights too bright for me because, like, bro, y'all are stuck with this now. Y'all ain't, like, you ain't got nobody to develop and fix the car the rest of the year, bro. Y'all just stuck with a shit box. Just the whole season.
Like, watching Drive to Survive and seeing the episode where they literally fired Oscar like during a race weekend, I was like, oh, that's f***ed up. But then the new guy was like, yeah, yo, I'm gonna do this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, boy.
I feel so bad for what's my guy's name that
Ryan Reynolds.
He was so happy.
Ryan Reynolds.
He was so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I got ownership in an F1 team. Oh, this is about to be great. I'm about to be on the paddock. You 2 seconds off
Someone
the pace,
needed-
my guy.
I just don't.
I was just going to say, I've never seen a starting park F1 team until now. That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Someone,
I
someone
mean,
needs to pull him aside and say, "There's a reason why you can buy this.
Yeah,
there's a reason why it's for sale." But like,
because like I initially like had the tweet queued up for this weekend where I was like, oh, the Alpine 100 race plan, it resets every time they don't win. So forever, it's like forever infinite amount of times. But I couldn't even tweet that. I felt so bad, man. There's so much wrong, and I feel so bad for Pierre and Esteban. And then, you know, I know this is a discussion for Danny and JT, but I feel so bad because now with the potential of, and I doubt it happens, but with the remote potential of Max entering the driver market at the end of the year, like the options are very narrow for those two, and oh man, it's abysmal. And you know, honestly, you know what? Here's what they can do. They can turn the situation right side up, right? Because they can just start offering fan ride-alongs during the race because they're not battling for position anyway. Just like, you know, expand it to a 2-seater, let somebody pay, you know, $100,000 and just ride along for the whole race. They ain't doing nothing anyway. Might as well just have like 2 of the Richard Petty Experience cars out there. But yeah, that's my lights too bright for the whole season almost. Is to them poor fools, man. Good God. Oh man, but anyway.
Did Monte?
So what else we got?
Did you give your lights to Bert?
Yeah.
The trash bag.
Yeah, he said Willie B.
He gave the trash bag. Yeah.
All right. I genuinely, I don't think we got any questions for Ask Monte. You need to do better about getting people to ask you questions.
I don't want to hear it.
Finally a break, bro. You get
promote yourself.
Ooh.
Almost let it go.
Wait till
I didn't even say
he almost let it go.
You know what?
He almost let it go.
Bro,
you a headache.
Man, a headache.
You don't even know, bro.
You don't even know, dog. Like, you have no idea.
Fighting for my life over here.
To this day. I was just say I just had an open mic thing, Phoenix predictions. I just want to take a second before I guess we get to Phoenix. Ryan Vargas, if you guys didn't see the news, is going full time in the Euro Series. Great friend of the show, super proud of him. He killed it when he was in Germany last year, so I'm looking forward to see him do some good things over in the European Series. That's right. NASCAR goes left and right overseas too, not just F1. So shout out to him. Phoenix predictions. Allegedly, there's a new tire. And apparently Goodyear has figured out how to have the tire build and retain heat better so it to wear out faster, therefore causing more slippage. That in addition to the aerodynamic deficiencies that they've added to the car, we should have an interesting Phoenix race, said no one ever. Who y'all got for Phoenix?
I just want to start.
I mean, it'll.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead,
gonna
Arthur.
say I just want to start off with 1855. Come on now, like I can't expect this from NASCAR.
Yeah.
Like you can only Charlie Brown the football so many times, bro. Like I don't believe nothing until I see it. I wish I was on cam, but I'm sick as a dog right now, so you could have seen my face. But like, no, I believe it when I see it. I hope it's true. But you know what they say, I'm from Missouri. You got to show me. Like I don't believe that at all. For my picks for Phoenix, I would probably say a new winner. I know we're only week 3, but Larson and Willie B run well there. I'll say, you know what, Bonte, I was going to say Christopher Bell till you said that finally get a break line. So now I hope he hits the wall lap 1.
Break.
But besides that, I'll say Denny. I'll say Denny gets a dub. I don't know why, but my heart says Denny. Maybe he's banging on my door over airspeed right now. If you can hear,
towards y'all need to be studied. Oh my god.
I mean,
we ain't go there.
But we don't have time for that. Who do you have? Well, you better hope your boy bought brakes because last time they were in Phoenix, he didn't. So
no,
you picking him to win?
You got to I'll be surprised Phoenix. If you do. But if I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just gonna pick anybody out of the back. Let me get, I don't know. Phoenix is, y'all know Phoenix.
You have 36 options. Choose one.
All right. William Byron. I'm gonna get
really
William
sad.
Byron.
Like he had to get up and go to work.
William Byron. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me 5 minutes to do that.
Man, Phoenix predictions. Lordy. I would say it'd be another Hendrick car. I would love for it to be the Arizona native Alex Bowman. Hendrick is just on a roll.
3
Chevy's
races.
on a roll. I mean, they've won the last 4 Cup races going back to Phoenix. So I mean, they've been on a roll here. Hendrick has powered all 4 victories. So yeah, man, I just feel like they'll be really good there. I feel like it'll probably be between the 24 and the 5, and somehow the 48. It's time for Alex Bowman to make a little bit of a comeback, I think. So it'd be cool to see him do it. But in reality, in my heart, I know it'll be the 24 or the 5. We'll see how that goes. If I had to do like an alternate pick, like a 855, come on now kind of pick, I would almost give it up to Reddick. I feel like somehow I don't know where this is coming from, but I feel like this track really suits him and his style, and because I think they finished like second or third in the spring race last year, right?
He was kind of fast. I think he got a top 5.
Yeah, I think he got a top 5. So I don't know. I mean, they seem to be starting off on the right foot, despite wadding the car up 2 weeks in a row. It wasn't their fault though, but yeah, I mean, so we'll just see how it goes, though, man. Like I said, there's just no telling how any of this stuff ever pans out in the first place. But if I was to put money on, I'd put money on the Hendrick car. If I was to go with my best wishes, I would say it was Reddick. That's the best answer I can give you. Sorry.
I'm going to go with our reigning series champion, Ryan Blaney. Because, oh boy, I wouldn't want to be Ross Chastain on Sunday. Payback.
I tell you what, man. I'm so sick of that already. You for Ross to get out of the car and be like, oh yeah, well, he blocked me and payback sucks, don't it? And we won Phoenix and nobody wins Phoenix. Like, shut up, golly, shut up. Anyway, yeah, it would be cool to see Ryan win it though.
Yeah. Open mic time. Questions, comments, concerns. I really feel like we should, once we get big enough, this should be like our section, like it is in Michael Wilbon's show, where they have like the editorial notes at the end of the show, like all the things we messed up. I feel like we should do that.
We should.
But we
I
don't.
do got a question.
Bro, you know how much time that would take?
We don't have the
My
we don't
question
have the
is,
funds for that.
Yeah, what's your question?
Shut up, bro.
Bonte from Milwaukee, first time caller, long time listener. What's going on, man?
How you start off saying
bro,
shut up?
Carl from Arkansas.
What's going on? What's going on?
Anyway, whatever.
What's your question?
That's not how the bit works.
This question from
Just
Jared
go,
and
just
Arthur.
go.
Why do y'all hate Christopher Bell so much?
Okay,
honest.
so let me set the record straight. I don't hate Christopher Bell. I hate how you glaze him. Wow. You have a Twitter account dedicated to Daryl Bubba Wallace Jr. And yet, that's not his whole actual government name, I learned. And yet, and still, you support this double scheme wearing, no breaks having bum on a week-to-week basis.
I
that don't sit right with my soul,
I can't support two drivers.
That don't sit right with me. You can support 7, but you need to pick a better 7.
Wow. That's what we Jared, I don't want to hear you.
You know,
questions
how
canceled.
you asked me?
Question canceled.
You just asked me the question.
Yeah,
how you gonna ask me the question and not say you don't want to hear me?
Canceled. I'm already.
You about to get canceled off the show.
I ain't got nothing to lose.
Who at the wheel? Who at the wheel?
Ain't got nothing to lose.
No,
you might well just get me out of here.
You about to get fired on your day off.
All right, so I muted Bonte, so I can answer the question as well. My main beef is mostly the fact is one, Bonte really hypes him up like he's the next Jeff Gordon, and 2, excuse me, I'm not done. Don't interrupt. And 2, the double schemes are god awful, bro. Like they're so bad. Like
they're terrible.
Somebody, if you're listening, tweet us if you support double schemes, yes or no. And if you say yes, you might get some firm words sent back to you by me, but I can't confirm or deny that'll happen. But no, my third reason is I don't think he's a bad driver by any stretch. I think he's actually a really good driver. He had some really clutch wins, last season. But just because you rattle off some clutch wins doesn't make you the dominant driver that some people in the media and the fan bases treat him as. That's my problem. You're not at that level to where, like, just because you had 2 clutch wins because of this playoff system got you to Phoenix. But I don't put that much stock in that versus someone that's consistently dominant throughout the season. That's my big thing. He's got a little too much dip on the chip for me.
Well, but I'll come to his defense.
Don't.
Man. I just think that. Okay, well, I'm going to. No, because I legitimately think, and I will stand by the statement for as long as I need to, because I understand there are some people that would beat me with a bag of potatoes for saying this. I feel like Christopher Bell is probably, I don't know how to say he is the most talented driver in the Cup Series, but I feel like he has probably the most potential. He is extremely well-rounded, very adaptable. I mean, level-headed, and I just feel like, as far as saying like he's the next Jeff Gordon, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I see a lot of 90s Jeff in the way he approaches things. I think right now it's very hard for him because, again, we talk about, lack of practice, lack of testing, all sorts of kinds of stuff. They've changed the car format on him, so many times X, Y, and Z. And ultimately, I just, I've said this over the years. I've said it about Eric Jones and Joey Logano and all this kind of stuff. Gibbs is just never a place that has ever harbored young talent, right? It's never a place where a guy that's his first, real Cup team. I know he was at Levine Family, but it's never been a place where a guy can just show up with like little to minimal Cup experience and thrive. I don't know what it is about the culture over there, but I mean, that's just been the way it is. But you look at, Joey Logano left. I mean, he's a 2-time Cup champion. Eric Jones, unfortunately got forced out for C. Bell. And, he's had moments of brilliance. I feel like if a situation ever arrived arose to where he could go somewhere like a Trackhouse or a Hendrick Motorsports, for example, I feel like we would be having a much different conversation about who Christopher Bell is, and I'll stand by that. I saw a lot of it in the Truck Series. I mean, I think about his first Xfinity win. Eric Jones was hotter than fish grease at that point in time. You know what I mean? And he gets in the car and whoops Eric Jones's ass. I mean, we make allegories to cars all the time. It was quite literally the Jackson Storm pulling away from McQueen out of nowhere situation. And so it's like, yeah, man, this guy is something serious, and he has the ability when his back's against the wall to pull off some clutch moves. I just think he's just not at the right team, and it's crazy to say that, but we've talked about it, before. Gibbs is, for being a top team, they sure do not have the titles to back it up. So something organizationally is wrong there, I think, because they fall apart. Denny Hamlin falls apart. Martin Truex Jr. falls apart. Kyle Busch falls apart. So I don't know how to answer that question. And I love Kyle Busch, mind you. But that's been that's as long as I've been a Kyle Busch fan and a Gibbs fan and NASCAR fan. Tony Stewart had some runs where they should have ended differently than it did. He didn't make the chase in, what was it, 06, right? And then in the end of the season, he's winning every other week. So, and Brandon's gone on for too long, but I have to say this. Christopher Bell is extremely talented, and if he landed in a situation like Kyle Larson landed in, and where everything clicked, he had a team behind him that knew how to win titles, X, Y, and Z. We will be having a much different conversation. And I'll just say that about him. Like I said, so
since we've started
what's up?
Dialogue. So you think of quote unquote homegrown JGR talent like Denny, like Ty is seeming to be. Do you think that they put more stock into the drivers that they know want to be there for life, want to stay there for life, don't have any other options to leave? Or do you look at a situation like with Kyle, like with Joey Logano, like with Eric Jones, like with Tony Stewart, where, if you could find greener pastures and the time comes where, you got a little sour in here, bye, see you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say. I do think that there were times in the early Toyota years at Gibbs that I felt like that Denny Hamlin really had the blessings of JGR more than Kyle Busch did. And so, I know that Bell came up as a Toyota driver. He came through that pipeline. But, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say I think that there is a little bit more backing to a Denny Hamlin and to a Christopher Bell than there is to a Ty Gibbs than there is to a Christopher Bell. You talked about, like Tony Stewart and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, Denny Hamlin was in the contract negotiation for 3/4 of the year last year, right? And they did what they had to do to keep him in the 11. Okay. If we rewind the clock 15 years, the Tony Stewart situation was solved over the summer. I mean, it was an open and shut case. I mean, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, we were at Charlotte in May, maybe not, when he announced he was going to go into SHR. I mean, the Kyle Busch thing we found out was pretty much like, okay, look, if you can't find $30 million in sponsorship, you're free to look elsewhere. We're not going to re-sign the deal or whatever the deal was, but it was pretty much, like Gibbs was like, look, it's on you if you want to come back, but we're not extending an olive branch. So is it fair to say that there's favoritism? It's probably not fair because I don't work behind the walls at the shop in Huntersville, so I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I do think that team has definitely lent itself more to talent that they have had their hands around forever that Coach has wanted versus what Toyota has wanted, right? Because Toyota wanted Kyle Busch. They wanted Tony Stewart. They want Christopher Bell. They wanted Joey Logano. The Toyota wanted these guys. But when you have one team at the top and you have in his name and the name on the door is Gibbs, that's who gets the final say in things. So, To answer your question very simply put, yes, I wholeheartedly believe they have more stock in these homegrown guys, the two they have now, than they do in a Christopher Bell and a Martin Truex Jr. Martin's just there because they can cash Johnny Morris's checks, right? I don't, even though he can produce, 4 to 5 wins a year, I think if tomorrow Bass Pro Shop said our financial picture changed, we can't give you guys $6 to $7 million a year more in sponsorship, I don't think that they would blink twice about kicking him to the curb, for somebody else. So, same for Bell. I think if God, who owns that tool brand? Who I don't know who the parent owner of DeWalt is. Because DeWalt and Stanley are under the same brand and all that. But if DeWalt and Rheem came out tomorrow and said, we have to cut our sponsorship back by half, I would think that Gibbs would probably just pay, whatever it is left on to pay on his contract and just tell Bell, you got to find a deal somewhere else. We're not going to overextend ourselves. But if FedEx tomorrow said, hey, Denny, we're not coming back, period, we're not going to sponsor you at all, we'd be just as quick to see he gets us on the 11 or Interstate on the 11 or Mobile One on the 11, some B2B deal, same with the 54. I stand by that 100%. Because I've said before, I'm not a Joe Gibbs fan. I'm a Christopher Bell fan. I'm a Kyle Busch fan. I'm not a Joe Gibbs fan. And I fully believe that there is definitely some games that have been played there over the course of my fanship now and in the past. So
I don't know. I feel like they know in 5 years' time they have Seabell carrying the banner and Ty probably 1B behind him in terms of driver talent. Now, yeah, in terms of backing, I'm sure Ty would get, first through the door. But in terms of on-track talent, I think they know that these are the two guys we're hitching our wagons to for the next 10 years, right? Like Denny's probably got a few more years, maybe 2 years, I'm guessing. Like, he's not going to be around for 5 years. And Truex every summer, it's the same, will he, won't he? Yeah. So, I think he might be out, at the end of this season or next. We have no insider info, but that's just my gut feeling. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad driver at all, but I think if I can make the argument that at least 3, maybe 4 drivers are better than you over the whole course of the season. And again, like, we can't also, and I'm gonna go back in a second, but also we can't knock this, say these teams are terrible when these are the same teams that are with you when you're getting these clutch wins, right? It's not like they changed and swapped playoff crews for him and then he suddenly won. Like, so I push back a touch on that, but I just feel like he gets mentioned as an elite driver. And for me, elite is the top 2, 3, maybe 4 in today's era. Now, we talked off air earlier about if the 2004 playoff drivers came in today in their prime, how like they probably mopped the floor with a lot of the younger drivers just because of the talent difference. Like, now back then, I think being elite was a higher bar. Because you had
absolutely,
you had prime Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, all of those other guys, all the Roush guys. So for me, like nowadays, the bar for elite is much higher, and and again, I'm not trying to act like I hate the guy because I actually don't. I met him at Richmond. He's a very nice man, very small man, but very nice man. But I just don't have him in that category. And I feel like I'm constantly being told that he is in that category because he had 2 amazingly clutch wins. And I love those wins. I think they're great. I saw one of them in person. Like, they're awesome. Like, let me ask you both a question. If you had to put same equipment for a whole season, would you put C. Bell or Tyler Reddick? Who's better?
Same equipment for a whole season?
Yeah, same equipment.
I don't want to seem biased at all, but
Bell easy.
I would have to go with Bell. And nothing against Reddick because we talked about like his clutch wins, right? That came from 2022, right? And that was a year where Tyler Reddick ran extremely well in the 8. Some would even say he ran better in the 8 and 22 than the driver that took the seat the following year. So nothing against Tyler, but I would still give it to Bell. And I'm not saying that his team is a bad team. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that there is something to be said about how we have, we've had some great talents come through that organization and come out the other side more successful than when they got there. I think the Joey Logano case should be studied because there's something to that. I don't know. I just feel like when I look at Christopher Bell, I look at Kevin Harvick, right? Because I think about how Kevin Harvick, for a lot of his time at RCR, outside of 2006, like he would reel off a couple of wins, but when you really looked at the picture, like the whole season long, like they kind of fell short for a very long period of time, right? And then he got to change the scenery. I keep going back to my fanship has led me to believe that it really is all about where you are and who you're with. And I just think there is a missing link somewhere on the Bell side of things. I think he hasn't found his Cliff Daniels yet, right? That's not to say that who he has and who he's with now is bad. It's just that I just think that he's also young too. He's what, 24, right? Christopher Bell. 28.
Yeah, he's older than he looks.
I thought
Babyface assassin.
His first win was in 15. So that makes sense.
So let me provide just another data point, right? So I'm just looking at last year, right?
Right.
I'm just sticking to the most recent full set of data we have. And again, like, this is not a knock. Like, I don't want Christopher Bell. Actually, you can. Christopher Bell fans to be in the mentions, flaming us. But when I think of like elite, all 8 of them, like the elite drivers, I don't see him in this category. So I'm looking at last year. There's a driver who had one more win, one fewer top 5, and 2 fewer top 10s. So one more win, one fewer top 5, 2 fewer top 10s, and Christopher Bell. And it was Chris Buescher.
Right.
Now, yes, they got hot, and yes, they did not have clutch wins in the playoffs. But if you're going to be on my elite category, you have to be above that bar. And Chris Buescher's not a bad driver, but I think Chris Buescher is a solid 5 to 10 in the Cup Series.
Right.
And I feel like that's where I would put Bell. I think he's at somewhere in, I'm going to say there's probably 3 to 4 elite drivers in the Cup Series, and I have to think about who they had put there. But I'd say after that, it's the very, very good, excellent level of like 5th to 10, and he's in that group. He's not in my elite because the bar is that high.
Yeah, okay, I'll make concessions with you, and I'll say that, looking at him right now from that potential, is he an elite? No, I wouldn't say that he's an elite. If you actually right now to name the top 3 best drivers in the sport, I would probably say, I don't know, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and probably, I don't know, Joey Logano. I don't know. It's kind of hard to really say, but do I think that, okay, so I would put him in like the 5 to 10 range for sure, but I think that his ceiling is in the 1 to 3 range. Just like with Buescher, if that's your argument, like it wasn't a change of scenery, but like things at RFK changed and progressed enough to where like he was able to start performing. Now the new car had a lot to do with that for sure, but I still believe we have not seen anywhere near like the pinnacle of Christopher Bell. I don't think that we're near that point yet. I don't know what it is about this era of NASCAR that makes it so hard for guys to finally come out of their shell. I don't know if it's because the competition's closer than it ever was, or there's a lack of testing and practice. So you can't lean on mechanical engineering like you could, back in the day where guys had, different tricks on their setups and stuff like that. I don't know what it is, but I'm a firm believer that we haven't seen the best of Christopher Bell yet. So like, that's why I continue to advocate for him. Like, I think that he can be the driver that everybody says like Kyle Larson or William Byron is. I really do believe that.
No, that's fair. And I don't disagree with that. I think he's he's on the upswing of his career. Like he's definitely not in his prime yet. I mean, what did Denny say? He felt like a driver's prime was like, I don't know, like 31 to 36 or something like that. Like I feel like
it's gone up significantly. Yeah,
but I feel like he said there's like a certain window of time where like you're still like an elite athlete in a race car, and then after that you can still do it, but you're not in that window. I wish I could remember. That was like an old podcast episode, but yeah, I mean I don't think to circle back, I don't think he's in his prime yet, and I think he can definitely be that. If you told me, fast forward 15 years in the future, you tell me he's got 3 cup titles, I can believe that. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all by that. But in this year of our Lord 2024, he ain't got any. So he's
well, Bonte, I lawyered up. I brought my suitcase. I did as much as I possibly could.
Let me hear. Better call Carl.
Yeah, better call Carl. That's a new segment on the show. Let me advocate for your favorite driver.
Let me say this.
Oh wait, I love that.
I know it's Xfinity, but let's not forget. Even though Bell didn't win championships in 18-19, bro, dog walked the field during those 2 years in Xfinity.
I mean, like he
I mean, again, he's not
trash.
He's not a scrub.
Yeah, we're not saying that he's trash.
Okay.
I just don't think he's elite.
He's not elite. Like there's levels to this.
I just right.
That's all I'm saying.
I refuse to accept the argument that. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you another hypothetical. Since we're argument. If he does not have 2 clutch wins at the end of the season, let's say he finishes 7th in the points, and let's say he got the same number of wins in they're being in the regular season, right? He just got the same season, but he didn't get them, and he finished 7th in the points. Are we still having that same debate? Because I feel like the clutchness of those wins are what's propelling a lot of fuel to this argument. Again, to the elite argument, not the talent, but the elite argument, because they were so clutch. So if he finishes 7th in the points, are we talking about this? Right? Netflix isn't talking to him going into Phoenix if that's the case, obviously.
Right.
So,
I mean, there's something to that. I mean, but it's hard to separate the two, right? Because I mean, like NASCAR has manufactured this system where it's top of the 9th with the bottom 9 bases loaded. I mean, and it's so hard to win in this series. It's so hard to win in this sport.
Yeah.
I mean, there are great guys that will never ever win. I mean, it's so hard. So, I mean, you can't have one without the other. I don't think, but because I think it's a testament to how talented he is. That in a situation where it's like you don't have a choice, you have to win. There is no, I'm not going to push the car harder because I might, spin out. I have to, I can just finish 7th. But if you really want to take those away, and he had the same number of wins when he finished 7th, you're asking the wrong guy, because my bias from his body of work outside of the Cup Series would lead me to say, the same thing. Unless we not forget that, I mean, his second Cup race with that organization, right, in the 20, he won. I mean, granted they ran that course the year before and all that stuff, but I mean, I just, there are just a lot of signs there. There are a lot of indicators that say to me, like, there is something greater there that we just haven't seen yet. And even without those clutch wins, I think, like, in my mind, if we're talking about it later and I'm like, after the fact, right? Let's say we get to Phoenix and he finishes 7th in the standings. And I'm just like, man, Christopher Bell, didn't have the playoff run that he should have, but man, what if, you know what I mean? Like there were okay, I'm going to say this and I'll stop. If you take away those clutch wins in the playoffs and give them to him elsewhere in the regular season, I still think even without winning, he comes extremely close to making a Game 7 situation work out in his favor. I don't think that he would be a scrub and just finish like 10th, when he needed to win, right? I think he'd be like second or third, like giving it all he had. And so with that in mind, me personally, I would still have the same response. Yes. Not everybody would, and I can respect that and I can understand that. Because we're in an era of the sport where we no longer like look at numbers outside of how often are you winning.
Right.
But that would be my response. Yes.
Fair. I just think I think those 2 wins are doing a lot of heavy lifting. Those are the movers you called over. They're those friends that you know that are real buff. You ask them to come move your furniture for you. Like they're doing all the heavy lifting.
I respect that.
Not all. I'm just kidding.
Y'all saying lazy him? That's crazy.
Man, truth hurts. I know.
Look at your track record, buddy. It's kind of hard to deny the truth.
I will say bell pepper is kind of a little bit.
He was there like one time.
I'm not gonna lie to you about that. There was an era where you had
No, don't even start.
We had
a picture, and I was like, man, this is a little
hang
annoying
on.
here.
Now-
I don't know that I would have called him bell pepper.
Now the one nickname. So we have a thing in my house where we make bets every week, and there's a lot of nicknames that get called out for drivers. So like Kyle Busch is still Candyman. You know, he'll be Candyman until he's 100 years old in my house. But Christopher Bell's nickname is Baby Bell Cheese. And if you ever seen like the little round with the cow on them, have you ever seen them? It's like a little round cheese. Yeah. They're called Baby Bell Cheese.
Are you saying he looks like a little round thing of cheese?
Well, no, it's because he's such a baby face. That's how the name came up. I didn't make it up, man. My significant other did.
You couldn't just say Babyface Bell?
Nah, it's not as catchy as Baby Bell Cheese.
No,
You're gonna add an extra word.
Add an extra, bro. You're being extra.
One of us works in marketing, and the other 3 are y'all. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say that. Baby Bell Cheese
And on that
is a
note,
fun nickname.
and with that, with Arthur's shade,
We are done for the
draw
day.
the curtains on this episode. Like, comment, subscribe. Please keep doing your thing. We got some surprises coming. Y'all gonna hear from us soon. Yeah, I guess we'll see you after Phoenix. Where'd he go after Phoenix?
Yeah,
What's after
Bristol.
The spring Bristol race already?
Yes.
The spring Bristol race, and then we go to Texas for 2
Dakota?
weeks. I don't know what after that.
That's where the track is. It's in Texas.
No, because I got confused with Texas. Remember, Texas race track got a spring race too.
He said Texas.
Right,
for
that's
2
what I'm
weeks.
saying. We go to Texas, the state of
Okay.
Texas, for 2 weeks. That's what I meant. Yeah, we go to the state of Texas for 2 weeks.
Got the show. We're done. Goodbye.
Bye.
We appreciate
Y'all have a
you.
good one. Goodbye.
We out.
See y'all later. Appreciate y'all.
Cut it. Cut the tape.
It was just one step, one punch, one round at a time, and my guys had me a great stop, and we just executed. So there's more to come for sure.
Rashad Caruth, your winner at Vegas.